We'll start by kind of just giving everybody a little bit of an update, and then Tyler's going to come and he's going to actually help me do this. You can come up now. So from the SFSS side is that we had a club. Their name was GRID. It was brought to the general office, who is the office that deals with all of our clubs and PSUs and yada yada. That GRID wasn't working as GRID, but they were working as individual fraternities and sororities, which actually goes against AP3, which is that club membership has to be open to all university community. Once our insurance got a hold of this, we realized that we did not actually have insurance to house fraternities and sororities, and therefore it caused a whole bunch of different problems that we just don't have the ability to house fraternities and sororities. We signed an LOA, a letter of agreement, with GRID at the end of the summer that states that GRID's temporary club status will expire in September 15th. And if GRID has not reached an agreement with SFU concerning the authorization of Greek societies as SFU, by that date, GRID will no longer operate as a club within the SFSS. So that's kind of where we're at right now. I've been meeting with GRID quite a bit. We meet about once a month, if not bi-weekly. And this is kind of our next step. So we've gotten where we are, we've signed the LOA. So what's our next step right now? So I'm going to hand the floor over to this young gentleman. He's going to kind of give you an update on where the fraternities and sororities began and where they are now. And then we're going to start a question and answer period. Yeah, oh no, I need microphone. Yeah, but I just need it for number 2.
Hello everyone, my name is Tyler Bryan. I'm currently the president of one of the fraternities on campus, Phi Kappa Pi. I've been around since 2011. Today I'm going to be speaking on behalf of GRID. GRID is currently comprised of, it's open to all of the membership of the Greek letter organizations, and right now the people who meet weekly, just about, if not bi-weekly, it comprises of the presidents of all the groups and their vice presidents, and the general membership is welcome to come. So we have been sitting down, working extensively with the SFSS lately, trying to get ourselves established and identify how we can work with the university and the student society. What I'm going to do is just give a very brief overview of what's happened so far. So since 2011, there's been nothing. Now we already have 5 new fraternities and sororities that have started up, in addition to the co-ed fraternities that are on campus. I'm going to go through those quickly and then provide a mission statement that kind of identifies our objective. So it's very clear what we're looking for. First, Phi Kappa Pi. It's a Canadian fraternity, only in Canada. There's 4 chapters across the country. You can see the date of founding. I won't read details off for everybody. You can take a look. There currently are 54 members on campus who are active. We also have already had 6 brothers graduate and a network of alumni in the area. Tau Kappa Epsilon is an international fraternity. They currently have, apologize, I don't have the numbers up here. Current numbers? 25?
38 actually.
38. So 38 members currently. They were the second fraternity to start up on campus. See their motto. Every organization has either a dedicated charity internationally or in the local area. See some notable alumni here. Delta Kappa Epsilon, another international fraternity. Started on campus in September 2013. Currently has 12 members. 54 chapters in their organization internationally, however. Those are the 3 fraternities on campus. For the sororities that are currently established on campus, Kappa Beta Gamma, an international sorority, founded in 1917, currently has 72 members in their chapter. They have some local, they have an extensive amount of local charity work they've done. I only included the official, local, and international ones, but if you talk to any of them, there's an extensive list of charity work that they do. Delta Alpha Theta sorority, founded here in 2014 in January, currently with 23 members. They're the second sorority on campus. Those 5 Greek letter organizations, or GLOs as you might hear them referred to if you're not familiar with some of our acronyms, are the 5 newest on campus, in addition to 1 professional fraternity that has shown up. There is a professional fraternity and a medical fraternity as well that are open to both men and women in those respective areas of study. And they've, many of you may know the medical one, they have been on campus for an extended period of time. To finish up for myself today, I just want to go over our mission statement. I'll read this out so that you're very clear what we're looking for. Simon Fraser University Greek letter organizations are seeking recognition from the university, and we would like the ability to operate and function with the same level of logistical support as other recognized student groups on campus. We seek the ability to book rooms, post advertisements, reserve school spaces for recruitment, philanthropy, fundraising, and social activities. And in addition, all Greek letter organizations have our own insurance policies, and we self-fund all of our own activities. As such, SFU Greek letter organizations are not seeking, nor do we intend to seek, club funding for internal purposes in the future. And that's all I have for.
Awesome, thank you for that. So going off of that, I think what we keep in mind is that our goal tonight is really to have people voice their concerns and their opinions. And then for us as Grid and as the SFSS to try and find, have a better understanding of what our next step is together. So that's really why we're here tonight. So why don't we start with some questions. Could the representatives who are speaking please just stand so that we know? So I've asked each group to give us 2 or 3 representatives from each group that will speak on behalf of their society, and that's just for efficiency's sake. You guys can sit down, thank you very much. And as soon as they speak, they'll stand, they'll answer their questions. We'll pass them a microphone just so the camera can pick up on it. Awesome. Okay, so our first question that I've gotten, and I have gotten questions from different groups around campus. I've gotten them from clubs, from constituency groups, women's centers, and some out on campus sent some as well. So I think I'll start my first question off with, there are 300 clubs on campus and numerous other constituency groups. With that in mind, why do we need Greek letter organizations, and how are they different than what's already offered? And that can be answered by anybody that feels comfortable answering that question.
To answer that question, one of the nice things about SFU is that we have 300 plus groups on campus, and it offers and caters to a wide range of interests. The groups, the fraternity, the sorority organizations, the Greek letter organizations that we have on campus want to offer the same thing. One thing that I've noticed, and a lot of us pride ourselves on with our Greek letter organizations, is that we don't specify quite as much as a lot of the other groups do. We don't particularly focus on perhaps just snowboarding, or one particular sport, or one particular activity or interest. We want lifelong friends. We're looking for professional and personal development. You have the ability to partake in absolutely anything you want. We may have certain activities we do regularly, but if you are in the organization and you express an interest, then we can provide those. Leadership seminars, how to cook. You can go beyond using just craft dinner, for example, in the house. So we do cater to the interests of the people involved. We don't have a strict mandate of exactly what we do, and we provide those connections. We are international in size. We have a network, and this is one of the other reasons a lot of people are interested in our organizations, is we have a network professionally for future employment, for travel, for just finding out information or getting a mentor across the country. The size of our organizations and the scope of the activities that we do are one of the things that I think makes us stand out from other clubs on campus.
Awesome, thank you so much. Does anybody have anything to add to that? And guys, sorry, just before you speak, if you could state your name, that'd be great.
So I'm Kendra Wingrider from Delta Alpha Theta. Just to add to what Tyler said, one thing that differentiates us from clubs is the rigid structure. So there is a minimum time commitment, which allows us to mentor our individuals and members to a certain level. I know personally I've joined a lot of clubs in my days and never really showed up, never really got anything out of it. So within sororities, it is a little bit more of a rigid structure, but we find that this helps with personal and professional development.
Great, thank you. So my second question is regarding the rush process and the process of recruitment. How does the rush process and recruitment process work, and how are members accepted or denied from Greek letter organizations?
I apologize if anybody gets sick of hearing me talk. My name is Tyler again. The rush process and recruitment process is very similar for a lot of the organizations, but individually how it works specifically is very different. Just in general, the rush process is an opportunity for the organization to find new members, to kind of replace outgoing members, to keep our numbers where we would like them, and it's a time for members to try and see what all the organizations are like. Just coming out to one won't give you the full set. So the rush, we try to coordinate amongst ourselves. It's something we do as a collective. So so that our organization and our events are planned on different nights to allow people to really get a sense of who's in the organization, what they do, what their values are. So you can come out to Rush events, get to know the people in the organization, get to know the organization, what we do, what we're like, so that two decisions can be made. The organization can decide if you're a good fit, and that if you are someone who might benefit them, and so that you can decide which group is best for you. You can decide ahead of time, you can get to know people without signing up and getting yourself into something that maybe isn't for you in the beginning. The member selection process, people are offered a bid at the end of Rush, so a lot of that comes down to people coming out. If we don't get to know anybody, they only come out once, don't show a lot of interest, then oftentimes they won't get a call, or they won't have an opportunity that semester. We do Rush twice a year for almost all of our organizations, once in the fall, once in the spring, and we do this every year. We've had people who come back a second time, we've had people who it's not the right time for them and wait a year and come back. So it's always a constant opportunity, you never miss out, just like with clubs. The offering of a bid, again, is two ways. The fraternity or sorority will make the offer to someone to join, they think they would be a good fit, and then the person can receive multiple. You can receive 5 bids, and then it's up to you to decide what's best for you, what group you think that you would fit best with, and what group you got along well with, and what maybe that group has to offer you. And once you make that decision, and you accept the bid, then you come and you join in with the group as a new member candidate, and you go through, for most of us, a process of learning our history, learning our values, core ethics, and all those things, learning about the group. We are a small group on campus, for some of us 50, 20 members, but we really want people to learn about how big it is. Some organizations have up to 90 chapters, and learning about those and what it means to be a part of such an organization that has such a history. I don't think any of our organizations are much younger than 100 years old, so we have been around for a long time. We're not just a brand new interest that's popped up.
Hi there, my name is Teal. Just to add on to what was said, handle this. So I feel like within the Greek community, there's a lot of confusion around the terms that we use to identify our different processes or our internal workings. So just to clarify what was said, Rush can be seen as an interview process. It's a process of engagement with the community and with the SFU community overall, and with members of the Greek community. The term pledging process, or pledge, is often referred to. This can be seen as a training process because of the focus on the history of the organizations and the practical application of skills such as event planning, document formattation, finding sponsors. And then again, just to emphasize the Greek community and finding your fit, so whether that is a social fraternity or sorority, there are options available, and again, it's a mutual relationship between the individuals who come out and Rush and engage, whether the Greek community is a fit for them or whether it's just opened up doors to a bigger community and a large chunk of the population of students at SFU.
Hi there, my name is Brian. Many of you don't know me. I'm actually representing EBC fraternities. And one thing that I want to say to you guys, and especially to the Student Society, is recruitment is something that takes a lot of resources, a lot of money sometimes, a lot of man hours especially, or women hours. What you are putting into your recruitment process is a lot more than just a name on a sheet of paper. What you're getting out of that, she had alluded to a bit of an interview process. It is a rigorous process because we want people who are committed to our cause and committed to our core values. So when we go through our recruitment as a representative of our alma mater at UBC, we have a much larger scope of who we're able to recruit, simply because the university is offering us those rights and responsibilities to accommodate as many members of the university as we can. So I think that's part of the reason why we're coming here today, is to help increase the scope, increase the number of members, even increase the number of chapters. I mean, we started here 3 years ago, and already we're at 7 professionals. So, give that another 5 years. With the help of the university, I think we can really see a great system here, and I'm really excited to see, how far along these groups are. So.
Awesome, thank you so much. So my third question of the night is, there are many negative stereotypes surrounding frats and sororities. How do you intend to break down those stereotypes, and which ways have you already done so?
I have been asked to give some general comments on behalf, so don't feel like I'm kind of monopolized by. One of the big problems that we do have is that we are fighting 100 years of a preconceived idea of what a fraternity, we shy away from the word frat, it's not used in a very positive connotation most times. There's been enough movies, stories, newspaper articles from around the world in the last 100 years or so that have gone a long way into establishing in the minds of people who don't know anything about the system of what we represent, what we do, what our values are. One thing that I think we benefit the most from is that SFU waited so long to have this conversation, because we've gotten past that. Every fraternity and sorority that's reputable, or more than one individual group, has an anti-hazing policy, has policies in place for behavior that's expected at the local level, at the chapter level, and nationally. If one organization is to make a mistake at one chapter, generally the first thing that happens is their national comes in and freezes them. Not the university, the first thing that happens is we take care of it internally. But those problems are widespread and minor. The unfortunate thing is they make great news articles. So for people who don't know much about the organization, it's very difficult for us to really present what we're about. So it's the events that we do on campus. It's our ability, one of the things we're looking for is to be more present on campus for the things that we enjoy doing. Our organization, for example, for myself, has raised over $18,000 in just 3 months. So 3 Movembers, we've raised over $18,000. That is something that if you look at our faces over Movember, we love. We just adore it. Kappa Beta Gamma has over 500 hours of combined volunteer service, and they haven't been around for 5, 10, 15 years. They've only been around for a couple years. So we really care about these things that we do. We are not toga. We don't sit in our homes and just toga party all the time. That's not what we're about, and it's very hard. We have a lot working against us, and we invite people who are not even in the organization. Most of our events are open events. We want people to come. We want people to come enjoy. We want people to come and see what we're all about, so that we can break down these stereotypes, because they really are hard to fight and prove, especially in such a short period of time.
Hi guys, I'm Kendall. I just wanted to focus on sororities. I know that both Delta Alpha Beta and Kappa Beta Gamma, we use sororities here at SFU as a way to break the stereotype. We use it as a way to empower women and get the young SFU women involved in academics and philanthropy. It's not like the movies, and that's something that we really actively try and portray to the SFU community.
All right. So another question that was brought to my attention is that in March of 2013, Kappa Beta Gamma hosted a pub night called G.I. Joe and Army Hosts. How has your organization changed since then? And would chapters still be permitted to work with such a theme?
Hi, my name is Kelly. Since this incident occurred, we have understood the magnitude of our mistake. We have taken accountability for our actions, and we have expressed our most deep and sincere apologies. We have moved forward by taking the utmost care to better uphold the values and integrity of our organization, not only within the SFU community, but within the greater community. Moving forward, we have been extremely conscientious and take every precaution we can to project a positive image and to better reflect the values of Kappa Beta Gamma.
So this is a question that was posed and asked to be asked to both fraternities and sororities. What measures, if any, are there in place to curb sexualized violence at Greek events?
Obviously, for both organizations, I know the sororities speak for themselves. These kind of activities and incidents are a high priority for us. They're something that not only would reflect poorly on us, but more importantly, would be a detriment to the people involved. We don't accept such behavior. We would never condone such behavior, and if anything of the type were to happen, we have internal policies to deal with anything that came up like that. At our events, specifically, things that we have in place, any event that we host, whether it be on campus, off campus, a private event, a public event, there are always individuals whose job it is to watch out, not just for general security of these events, but to be aware of what's going on at the party at all times. There's no substance abuse that's happening at these activities. There aren't to be anybody that's perceived to be behaving in such a way that would be counterproductive or against the values of not only our organization, but just social values. Aggressive individuals who either aren't treating members of the opposite gender or members of the same gender in a negative way will be dealt with immediately. We've had people ask to be leave from our party because they just simply aren't behaving in a way that reflects our organization. And it's not just the way we behave, it's the way people behave at the things that we host and the things that we run that reflects on us more than anything. We can make a mistake, but if we allow a mistake to happen, that's going to be more damaging to us. So simply watching out and caring for individuals who are either in a dangerous situation. Myself personally, we had a situation where people were going to be walking home alone after an event. I drove half a tank of gas getting people home, driving them around Burnaby to make sure that everybody got home safe. And if anybody ever has a concern, everybody in our organization is looking out for everybody's welfare, whether they know it or not.
Hi everyone, my name is Amanda. I'm president of Kappa Beta Gamma. I just wanted to stress that at all of our events, we do stress the importance of safety first. That is for our own women in our organization, as well as any man or woman that decides to attend our events. We do so through rules and regulations. We also have a strict anti-hazing document, so we would not condone that type of behavior within our own organization.
Awesome, thanks. The next question that I have is, what are the reasons why fraternities and sororities are not open to everyone? And a little bit of a spiel about that question is, can women join fraternities? Can men join sororities? If so, are those full members, and can they sit on executive committees? Where do people who do not fit into the male-female pronouns fit in Greek life?
Hi everyone, I'm Amanda still. So similar to any job or tryout, there is such an application process. Not that we expect you to sign any document, but that we want to make sure that you are the best fit for our organization and we are the best fit for yourself. So here at SFU, we do pride ourselves on finding your fit. We do preach this quite frequently. This is simply because I can speak on behalf of our sororities where we say that we have different values. That not one value is better than another, but simply we stand for different morals based on even just our mottos. Sorry, going back to the actual question though. With Kappa Beta Gamma, I can genuinely say that as long as you self-identify as a female, we welcome you into our organization. I am happy to say that even our past regional advisor was transgender, and I was very happy to be under her leadership. Regardless of your sexual orientation, it does not matter to Kappa Beta Gamma as an international organization or as a chapter.
I know, speaking on behalf of the fraternity aspect, we follow the same policy and procedure nationally and locally. Self-identification is all that's required. To speak to why, perhaps, each only accepts one gender or the other, self-identified or not, I can only parallel it to other clubs. I can only parallel it to the men's hockey team on campus is a club. It is not a varsity team. It is a male team. There are organizations that are maybe perhaps sports specific. When it comes to fraternities and sororities, we feel that there are enough options. It's not as if we are one organization on campus and excluding. The nice thing is there are currently 3 fraternities, 2 sororities, and 2 groups that accept both men and women. I feel that both of them offer so much that you would be hard-pressed to find one out of those 5 organizations, or one of 3 or 2, depending on your gender, that wouldn't be a good fit with you. We're all very similar in our goals and our objectives, but as we said, the individual values of the group, the makeup of the group is different. You probably wouldn't join a Celtic group who just speaks Gaelic if you weren't really into the Celtic culture. You really wouldn't go towards a group that isn't really part of your interest. If you wanted to join a group that was so vastly different from your individual interests or lifestyle, not only would it be difficult for you to participate and be involved, it would also be very difficult for the existing members of the group to not accommodate, but to be comfortable with you and try to make you feel comfortable. So we exist to make strong, long-lasting friendships and bonds and develop each other within our groups, and we hope not just to develop ourselves, but to develop the entire Greek community so that everybody has an organization that they can find. And if you don't find one, then it's very, very simple to start your own. And I know at UBC, any the organization that thinks, or a group of friends that feels that they don't fit into anybody, who thinks that they might want to start up another one, you just simply approach us, because we know how that happens. We know the steps that happen to start an organization. We've all done it. We've all started one here especially, and we will help facilitate you forming a group that is best fitted to your interests and your group. You don't have to accommodate into a pre-existing category. You can make your own. That's the nice thing about SFU and the way that we're starting this right now.
The mission statement of Delta Alpha Theta includes that we are striving to create outstanding female leaders. Currently, our constitution allows females to join. However, we are working to amend our constitution so that our chapter reflects the values of SFU. We would love to include transgendered individuals in our pool of potential members.
So I'm talk about this one. And I just want to point out that same as Phi Kappa Pi and Kappa Beta Gamma, we also allow transgender members as long as they identify as males. And I also want to invite everybody to think of Greek societies and Greek organizations as joining a community as opposed to individual sororities and fraternities, because really we're all a community. We know about each other's events and we'll always be able to find a fit, as people have already said. In terms of, Amanda referred to the process as a pledge and bid process as an interview process. That's really important, even though it might seem, a little bit, but it's really important because it helps us mitigate some of the risky behaviors that we talked about tonight. Stuff like, what was the question right before this? Sexual
Violence.
Violence, thank you. So yeah, we can go through that interview process and make sure we're not letting anybody in who we don't trust, who we think would act appropriately. That's why that's important. Oh, actually, this is here. Sorry, Tony.
So coming off of that question, and this one might be a little bit of a repeat, but I think it's also a great question, is a gender segregated system necessary to perform the social and philanthropic activities that Greek organizations say they are based on?
Hi everyone, I'm going to be speaking on behalf of sororities for this question. So, we are a young group of women empowering each other through academic excellence, philanthropy, and sisterhood. We are a women's interest group first and foremost, filled with passionate leaders striving to better ourselves and the community around us. We believe that women are underrepresented as leaders in our community. We firmly believe that we should not limit the number of pro-women groups on campus. We are bonded by our commonalities but strengthened by our differences. We meet and discuss issues pertinent to our gender, and we will continue to work towards decreasing the gender gap, which women still face on a day-to-day basis. Our letters give us the opportunity to balance our academics, philanthropy, networking, and building foundations of lifelong friendship.
To answer the question directly, I don't feel that it is necessary to have a gender-exclusive organization to cater to those interests, the philanthropic and fundraising and social activities that we have. But neither is it necessary to have every group be gender-inclusive to accomplish those same things. The nice thing about this is we can, as our organizations, gather the strength of our entire organization through shared friendship, shared interests, to cater our individual events towards the interests of those individuals to best suit those goals. We want to raise a lot of money for something, and instead of, just posting up on campus and maybe asking for donations, we can go paintballing. Maybe not something that appeals to everybody, but maybe that particular group has that interest, and we can get bids or we can raise funds for a particular competition or something like that. So the nice thing about these groups is you can concentrate people of similar interests, likes, things that they like to do, and not only cater to our goals, our philanthropy goals, and all of the objectives we like to do for the community, SFU, and our general community, but we can also look to develop ourselves and our organization in the areas that we would like to go through, and gender exclusivity and having a group of people that you can feel comfortable around in your own gender, I think is a novel, and for people who are interested, an excellent opportunity that you don't otherwise get in groups that are gender inclusive.
Hi there, my name is Janelle. I'm from Delta Alpha Theta. I'd just like to point out that as individual sororities and fraternities, we actually do hold a lot of philanthropy and fundraising events together. This past year, we all participated in the Relay for Life with a large majority of us representing all of our groups. And we also participated in various intergreek nights throughout this year with equal representation from all groups. So although sororities and fraternities are separate, we do pride ourselves on being able to perform a lot of philanthropic and fundraising activities together.
Just maybe as a point of reference for you guys, one of the reasons why I'm so excited with what GRID has been trying to do is because at UBC, it's called the IFC and Pan-Hellenic Councils, respectively, fraternities and sororities. We work as individual organizations, and we only collaborate when we need to. From the start, the fraternities and sororities have said, we see the need to include one another in our plans. It's the only way we're going to be successful. And in terms of fostering a sense of community that Rebecca had kind of alluded to, I'll touch quickly on what Tyler had mentioned in the previous question. I actually had a group of 12 people approach me this past summer, and about half of them were gender male and half of them were gender female, and they said, we've been going through recruitment and we don't feel that we've found a fit. And we sat down for, I think, 5 meetings and about 12 hours of talks and planning, and they're now seeking recognition as a transgender group that have Greek letters to associate with the rest of the GLOs on campus. So that's not at all in the distant future for you guys. I think that's something that's real as of right now, and even 2 weeks ago. So if that's one of the concerns that we have here, I think it's just because people haven't started wrapping their heads around it. And I think the fact that they're already collaborating means that we're open to it. So.
Hey everyone, I'm Pierce. I'm the Vice President of Phi Kappa Phi. I don't think gender exclusivity is crucial to doing the social and the philanthropic events that we want to throw. But a lot of people come to SFU from out of town for international students. A lot of people turn to the fraternity and sorority system, look for family. They look for home. And although the gender exclusivity isn't important to do the stuff that we do, there's all the intangible stuff that we do, support each other, support networks, which are huge. I know personally that some of my best friends in the world have struggled with mental health, depression, tons of things, and a couple of them probably wouldn't have gotten through without that support never provided by the fraternities and sororities. And when it comes to mental health, sometimes I don't want to sit down and go talk about depression with someone. I'd rather talk with one of my best friends. And that's why the gender inclusivity is crucial to the success of fraternities and sororities, just because it's a family.
If Greek life has been taking place on campus since 2011, then why has it taken so long for them to seek recognition from the university? Why has it taken them so long to ask for this to happen?
We've been trying unsuccessfully, or not unsuccessfully, but perhaps groping in the dark since 2011. Since we, Phi Kappa Pi, first established ourselves and tried to form a fraternity and were successful on our national scale. We began with emails, starting questions, but we had no idea what we were doing, frankly. No idea. We'd never done this. Being the first made it difficult. Then along came a sorority and a second fraternity. And we started to grow, but still, nobody has any experience here at SFU with what's going on. Nobody has done this before. We've reached out, had a little bit of success, finally made contact with UBC, getting that kind of support, and then we struck gold, finally getting in on some conversations and meetings with the Student Society, having some people who are interested in having that conversation. So it does appear to have taken a long time. It is hard sometimes to keep things continuous when often you have that summer break. Our activities are structured over 2 semesters, and obviously you have big gaps. We're only here 10 weeks at a time like everybody else. So it has taken us a while, but it's not for lack of effort. We've been trying for 4 years, and we are now finally gaining ground. It all seems to have been happening very quickly lately, but it has been a 4-year process. It's just finally taking root.
So yeah, as Tyler said, we've been trying really, really hard. But the thing is that information is so scarce. When you search up why aren't fraternities allowed at SFU, you find a bunch of forums and you find one article that's an opinions piece that came out of the Senate saying reasons that are, in my opinion, outdated, and this is just my opinion, right? About why fraternities and sororities aren't allowed on campus. That ban, or what is referred to as ban, was passed in Senate, and no one's really sure how to overturn that at the moment. It's just all up in the air, and we've been working to try to figure out the next steps to take. But it's just hard and it takes a long time, and as Tyler said, it's a process that has to start anew every time our boards change over, which happens every year. I'm sure Sam Bell wants to stop.
So my next question is, if the SFSS has seen a problem with the relationship with Greek letter organizations on campus due to concerns about inclusion and liability, how might these organizations address those concerns? And why wouldn't the university also have similar concerns?
These concerns were brought up to us as soon as we started having these conversations, and we get to have a good, long discussion with the university, but that's hopefully our next step. We've identified that these will be concerns. This goes again back to the stereotypes and some of the misconceptions, or perhaps some realities that we will have to face. These are all questions that we want to work together. We haven't been, as I said from the beginning, we've been trying to get recognition, we've been trying to work together. We've been working together as a group, but we've been trying to reach out. Now we're working strongly with the student society, and we'd like to work closely with the university to build whatever relationship is the best fit for all of us. We're not trying to accomplish something for our own gain. We know it's going to take a team effort between SFU and ourselves. SFU has had a very strong reputation as being very progressive. We like to think about things before we make any rash decisions. So it's going to be through working together that we're going to be able to deal with those problems as they arise, or to come up with measures to deal with them if they ever happen, which we hope that they don't.
In regards to liability, we don't need insurance from the university. All of the sororities and fraternities are capable of providing their own. And in terms of inclusion, I just want to reiterate that it is a job interview process. People do have a wide range of Greek organizations that they can choose to participate in, and people are chosen based on different qualities that they portray and what they can contribute to the organization. We have to maintain a certain level of selectivity in order to be sustainable, because we can't have rapid growth of our organizations and maintain the effectiveness that we currently have.
What are the criteria that fraternities and sororities look for when trying to choose candidates? Second part of the question, I'm not going to answer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Okay. Okay. We do not have a set standard of what we are looking for. There is no check marks or boxes that we X off. Absolutely not. It's based on a mutually beneficial relationship. Do you find that you fit in with Kappa Beta Gamma, and do you see yourself in 10 years from now having these lifelong friendships? For me personally, I'm a founder of Kappa Beta Gamma, and we saw as founders an opportunity that we wanted to fill. And so for us, we took this idea and we run with it, and the women that we take into our sorority are people that genuinely want to be there, and that's why it works. It's not a matter of, we do actually have a minimum GPA, it's a 2.0, but aside from that, essentially we're looking for what type of philanthropies are you involved with? Are you committed to your academics? Do you want these lifelong friendships? Because we want you to be here as much as you want to be here.
To reiterate, there is no criteria, no checklist, but if you want to consider what we think about, it is those intangibles, it is those values, those core values that we have. Do you fit in? A lot of that has to do with, are you the kind of person who not only fits with us, but that you're comfortable being around us just as much as we're comfortable being around you. It's very hard to get to know someone in the very short period of time we do. The one thing I'd like to stress that not a lot of people know who aren't in a Greek letter organization is Greek organization, any Greek letter organization you join is not something you do for a semester. It's not something you do for a year, and it's not something you do while you're an undergrad. When you join the fraternity, you are in a fraternity for life. Nobody was in a fraternity. Nobody was in a sorority. You are. You always are, and you always will be. We have 80-year-olds that show up to a chapter house because they want to hang out and tell stories and relive the old times, because they are members. They are. They may be called alumni, but they are still brothers, they are still sisters. It's lifelong. And you can't tell that about a person in a minute. You can't tell if they're ready for that, but you want to see commitment. So one of the things I honestly think our organization looks for is the people who make the effort to come out. If they're really interested in it, stopping by the info session, which is generally our first event, not having any conversations with us, not trying to get to know us or letting us know who they are, makes it very difficult to make a kind of decision on somebody if they would be a good fit. But we have people who come up to everything, who are very interested, enthusiastic, and there's absolutely no reason why someone like that wouldn't be a huge asset to our organizations. So when it comes to why or why not you should be in a sorority or a fraternity, you really need to think that it's a lifelong commitment, and making those decisions about people is not easy, but it isn't just something you sign up for and come for a week. It is something that you do forever, and we want to see that interest from people just as much as we have that interest ourselves. And I hope you can see that from some of us as we're up here and the people in the room. We're dedicated. We come out here because we want to be a part of this, and we want to see this grow.
Teal, one of the points that I would like to bring up just to differentiate Greek organizations from interview processes with businesses or other clubs or things that we've been referring to so far is that the power of our organizations come from the unity of their members. We all function systematically and democratically, I think that we can agree to say. And as per Delta Alpha Theta, our focus on mentorship and relationship development foster the slow and steady growth. And as a self-sufficient organization, we need time to stabilize and mature. That being said, our rush process, as I would assume that the rest of the organizations here are not absolute, and we encourage individuals to participate if this does not seem to be found as the right time for themselves or the organization.
So my next question is, what do Greek letter organizations think the benefit would be to the university to have a relationship with their organizations? And can they imagine why the university might be guarded in their approach to affiliation?
One of the biggest benefits I think we have is that we have such a large group of dedicated, involved individuals. I don't think there's a group on campus, and I may be speaking out of turn here, who is as involved in general. We are at clan events. We're at general fundraising events. We're involved in Relay for Life. Just about every group who emails me with an interest to have us come out, to cheer for a team, to involve ourselves in a fundraiser, or to help them run a fundraiser or a pub event, we get these emails, and we love it. We love to be involved and to be on campus. I personally live in Maple Ridge. I've been driving out to this university for 3 years. And the first year, I came to class, I got in my car, and I went home. Now, I'm barely at home. I love it. I didn't really enjoy coming to SFT when I was first here, but now I run into someone every 100 meters in the hall. Every time I come around a corner, I recognize someone. They don't even have to be from my organization. And what we can offer to the university is that involvement and that commitment. We had over 120 members show up at the SFSS AGM. We're interested, we're involved, we want to see things on campus succeed and go forward. We're dedicated to the university, and that's probably our biggest asset that we can bring. We understand that there are some apprehensions that the university will have. Obviously, the stereotypes and the concerns, you see it in the newspaper. Fraternities and sororities get their names in the newspaper. They get a bad rep. It does spread to everybody, and it's something that we need to have those conversations with the university about. We want to know their concerns. We can tell them our policies, how we would deal with it if it ever came up, and how we will make sure that it never happened, any of their concerns. I can't speculate on what they would be. We can all probably assume what some of the general ones are, the biggest problems that you see in the news, and those are the discussions that we want to have, that we want to go from this meeting and have those discussions so that we can make sure that those aren't problems anymore.
Just on the note of partnerships as well, I kind of alluded to it earlier. The more the university can offer as well, we're not asking for a lot. We are being reasonable, I think, in our approach. But if you're able to offer us the simple stuff, then we feel integrated and we feel responsible for this campus as well. It's when we're unable to recruit at Clubs Day that we have to go say, hey, well, what are we going to go do? A lot of people are going to assume that we're going to try and throw a bar night, and a lot of people are going to assume that we're going to get too drunk and that we're going to do something we shouldn't. Okay? And that's not the case, and it hasn't been the case here, and I hope that it won't be the case here because we'll be able to partner and get ourselves recognized, get the the reasonable accommodation that we're seeking. We're not looking at the Shangri-La here. We just wanted to table at Club Stay. So.
Just to emphasize one of the biggest benefits I found within the Greek community as a whole at SFU is that it's transcendent of faculty, religion, nationality, beliefs, and even gender.
Okay, so this is a question that just came through from the audience. Why are we so concerned about the Greek problem when international students are facing high tuition increases and discriminations at the club level?
Good evening, guys. My name is Miwa, commonly known as BK. I myself am an international student from Zimbabwe. Growing up, I grew up in a very conservative country, conservative culture, and everything else. And coming out here to a far more liberal society. The transition had been difficult, and it still is difficult to this day. But I think the emphasis on issues pertaining to international students can be alleviated to an extent by integration into GLOs. Because speaking for myself, I grew up in a house with 3 brothers. There was serious structure and everything else. Come out here, structure's gone. But when I joined the fraternity, I've got a group of brothers now that are willing to help me out, make sure that I understand what's acceptable and what's not acceptable in Canadian society. So for us to sit back and to try and separate these 2 issues and say that no, international student issues are separate from fraternities and sororities and that they should be 2 separate discussions, I think that we might be jumping the gun just a tad.
I just wanted to share one quick bit of information. I don't have an extensive amount of information on the situation, but we currently have a brand new member right now who couldn't be here tonight. I think he's in class, who's here from Zimbabwe. Sorry, Kenya. He's from Kenya, not here. Okay, good. He'll give me a lot of trouble for that. He's from Kenya. And when we were doing the rush process, when we sat down and had a conversation with him, I was very shocked by what he had to say. He went to club stays. He signed up for probably 5, 10 clubs. And he said, after coming to see us and coming to one of our events, he noticed immediately, just by looking at us, that it's a family. It's a group of guys, yes, but it is a family. And what he was missing, being international, was that sense of home. He said he didn't have that sense of home. He'd been to the clubs, he went and he saw some of the individuals in that club, and they all had an interest, a shared interest, but it didn't feel like something he could come back to, something that was home. Now, while I can't say that we can necessarily address those types of problems, those are definitely above our range when it comes to the fees and the things that are associated with international students. I think we can offer something to international students that can help make their time here not only more beneficial, but more enjoyable as well.
Okay, so guys, that's all the questions I've received. We're almost at an hour right now. Thank you so much for coming out. If Greg could stay after and just come chat with me, that would be great. I'm not sure if anybody else has any more questions. If so, feel free to ask them now. But I think for the time being, we've had our discussion, and I'm really pleased with the results. And I think that this is a really good, positive way to move forward with what we've been, with the work that I've already been doing with Greg. So thank you so much for coming out. We really appreciate it, and we're going to do our best to continue this conversation and continue our meetings and see where this takes us in our next steps.
Actually, if you don't mind, can I ask a question?
Of course you can.
So with regards to SFSS, I used to be an active participant in one of the clubs. So I used to be one of the active participants in one of the clubs in SFSS, and I was actually vice president of K-Sperm, one of the Korean culture clubs. And being a part of K-Sperm, we got really affiliated with the other Asian clubs. And so my question was mentioned before, but it was kind of changed, and I can understand you guys misinterpreting it. But my question in regards to this is, the fraternities right now are seen as clubs. And amongst you guys, why are we so concerned about Greek life while other Asian clubs, which are, I'm not going to say them, but they're directed towards certain racial demographics, are being allowed to discriminate against people who want to join it? An example of this is I have a friend who's very interested in Asian culture, and she's of Canadian descent, so she is white. And when she joined the club, she was told, oh, you can join, but you will not like it. And then when she went to an event, she was segregated from the other members of the club because of her racial demographic. So why are we so concerned about Greek life while this is a situation going on as well?
Right. So this is actually a question that I've also myself posed to the general office and to that I've had discussions. Lawrence and Rena are our general office managers, and they take care of clubs. And that's something that we've actually gotten into. We researched it a little bit more and dug a little deeper. We do understand that you guys are not the only club that has these problems. And we understand that this is a much bigger conversation. And although it is unfortunate that this is kind of happened to you guys and you guys are kind of being targeted, I do think it's a really good step for us to take with you guys, and also a really good way for us to continue looking at our own club structure. Thank you. Any more questions?
No question.
Go ahead.
Cool. So one thing I wanted to say is that a lot of the Greek organizers.
So my name is Kyle. I'm the Vice President of Student Life here. My portfolio sort of liaisons between clubs and the SUs. The biggest problem with the society that actually occurred was the fact that the certain societies, Greek societies, was using our platform to recruit. And so since we can't necessarily hold you guys accountable, GRID now becomes the body that holds you guys accountable. So that's the positive that came out of that. So now we can sort of dialogue and speak with GRID, with the SFSS, which will probably develop into UBC's societies overlooking whatever. The biggest thing about me that I realized in coming to SFU was the fact that I pledged for FICAP, right? But I didn't have enough time, which Arjun as well, also the same thing. But the cool thing to realize is that different fraternities came out of this pledge process. And what that means is that while you go through, as UBC said, looking for different societies to join, and it doesn't fit with you because interviews are a person's interviewing you, but you're also interviewing the company. And as a startup, you have nothing holds you from starting your own. And out of that pledge process came Alpha Kappa Psi, right? Out of that pledge process came TKE, right? So it's all one community, and it really started from just one group saying they wanted to. And that's the biggest thing that SFSS is not trying to hold you guys back. SFSS is trying to look for an organization which will hold you guys accountable for them to speak to. And that's now GRID. But within GRID now needs to be a constitution of how the election process is, all of these things. So we're moving slowly there, but yeah.
Hi, Coyote. I just wanted to clarify that I know that you mentioned the SFSS, and personally on behalf of Alpha Gamma, I just want to stress that we have a great relationship with the SFSS. They have been nothing but helpful. Lawrence, I feel like I have the ability to email him should I have any questions. Rebecca, JP, they've all been huge assets to our community. So I just want to stress that there's no hard feelings there, absolutely not. And yeah, I just wanted to clarify that.
Hi everyone, my name is Tim Raleigh. I'm the Associate Vice President of Students, and thank you to the SFSS for inviting me here this evening to listen to everything that's been said. It's been very informative. Of course, Rebecca lured me here. She did promise there would be a buffet dinner, and I don't see any. I don't know what she said to get you here. Joking. So I just wanted to ask a question. The university does wish to be responsive to its campus community, and I think the point was made earlier that the last official thing said about this topic was in 1966. And though I may appear very old to you, that's even a long time ago for me. But we want to be responsive to our entire student community. It would be very helpful for me to know, of the people who are here this evening, how many of you are currently affiliated with one of these Greek organizations? Yeah.
No.
Okay. Is there anyone in the room not affiliated with a Greek organization? Okay. Okay. I did live next
next door to a fraternity when I was at McGill. That was interesting, but that's one of those old stereotypes. Thank you.
I don't mean to turn this into a talk about the way UBC does things, but I actually just had a meeting with Janet Teasdale at UBC, who, from the sounds of things, is your counterpart at UBC. No? Not even? She's
She would report to my counterpart.
You guys have the right man in the room today. I think, and well, you know what? If anything about my meeting with Janet would have had to report to a secretary of a secretary of a secretary, would have to say is that absolutely these groups need to be held accountable. That's part of the reason why I was elected for my position. It's a volunteer job. I'm not paid by the university, but you see these passionate people standing up here and talking about it. If anything were to go wrong, it's their names and their reputation that are on the line, as well as their own fraternity. So, when Tyler comes up here and says all these wonderful things, it's not just him he's representing his fraternity and all of fraternities and all sororities on campus. And for you guys to have that degree of accountability, I think is huge. I think they realize that as well, and part of the reason why I was hoping to come in was offer a little bit of guidance to them. I think your student society might even be, I don't even want to say better, I don't know what the word is, but in terms of, I'm willing to say better, but in terms of getting them on the same page, you realizing that and you saying that to them as the collective is going to, give people like Tyler and Amanda a lot of steam power to really, make this the group that you want to. Just in my experience, so.
All right, guys, so I think that's where we're going to end tonight. Thank you so much.